Welcome back, troops. Let's tab 59. Hope you're all well. Hope everyone's getting out and tabbing when they can. Those that you can get out and get tabbing, get tabbing. Get tabbing, you lot. Get fell in and get tabbing. Right, just come back off my short 4 miles a day. Back at the house. Let's have a chat. Now, I think we all go indoors. There's still a bit of a breeze out there. It's still playing up the old microphone. So, this is a subject that I've wanted to talk about for some time. It's been bantered around in the press, in the media, and online, on social media, etc. for some time now. I'm talking about conscription. Now, General Saunders, what his name was, he said we need to raise a citizen army and all that McConkey. And of course, everyone's gone mad about conscription. There's a lot of feeling about it out there. So I thought we'd chat about conscription and what's the possibilities of it ever happening. Well, everything's possible, as you know. So I think what we're talking about is if our country, along with NATO, was to go into a general war, conventional war, out in Europe against Russia and any of Russia's allies, and that could be scary. So if that happens, I don't believe that and I think many of you are probably thinking the same, I don't believe that the current British Armed Forces is large enough to sustain a prolonged conventional war in Europe against, say, Russia. Yes, we've got our army reserves, and I think that stands at around 30,000 for the army. I'm not sure about the Navy and the Royal Air Force. So we've got our standing army, our regular army. We've got our army reserves that would be called up. And of course, we've got our regular army reserves. That's the guys and girls that have served in the armed forces but haven't completed 12 years service. When they leave the army, they go on to the regular reserve commitment and they would get called up. So you'd have those. But if it's a prolonged war, and I'm talking maybe a couple of 3 years, it could be a conventional war. It could get very static out there. We're going to need more manpower than that. So the country would have to consider conscription. What does that mean? Well, it would mean that people between the age, men and women between the age of, say, 18 and 40, and that upper age limit may go up depending on the trade that they're going to put them into. But generally speaking, we're talking between 18 and 40-year-old people. Those obviously with identifiable, recognisable, provable medical conditions would be exempt. And so would people in reserved occupations. And there's many of those. So what we're talking about with reserved occupations is things like the police force. Obviously, if you're a police officer, there's no point in calling them up. We need the police back here. Same with the firefighters and many of the NHS staff, of course. And then there's people like the farmers and other food producers. They're going to be needed to stay back here. People working nuclear power stations, etc. Those sort of people are going to be exempt being called up. But for the rest of you, between the ages of 18 and 40, you could well get the old brown envelope dropped through your door. You're going. Now, that's going to split those people into two camps. You're going to get those that say, yep, I'm up for that detail, I'm off. And they're going to go away and be conscripted into the armed forces. But then you're going to get the other lot, the other group, who say, no, I'm a conscientious objector or whatever, it's not against my religion or it's against my personal beliefs or whatever, I'm not going. What happens to those people? Well, we can only go by what's happened in the past with our conscription. I'm talking mainly about the Second World War. So when people conscientiously objected to go to war, conscription, they had to go in front of a tribunal to prove their case. And I believe the initial tribunals were just headed by local councils, etc. But later on, they were judges or magistrates that would actually hear the case at the tribunal that the person's objecting to going. And then they would decide whether they could uphold that conscientious objection or whether they found it, no, it's not. You've still got to go. We don't have that. We're not wearing it. What happens to those people? So what happens to the ones that get told, no, you're not being accepted as a conscientious objector, you're going? What do you do with them? What do you punish them? How do you punish them? You can't give them a fine. I mean, many of them may not be working, so you can't fine them any money. Do you imprison them? I mean, I don't believe we can do that because we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the prisons. Our prisons are already overflowing with people. So you can't start bunging thousands of people in that are refusing to go into prison. We don't have the infrastructure or the personnel to guard them, I believe. They could be offered work back here to help, say, the war effort in a way. So they're not directly combating, but they are doing stuff back here. I don't know, helping the farmers pick vegetables or digging some sort of defences or just sort of civil stuff. They could even be used as a form of like home guard. I did a video a while back about home defence and do we need a home guard? Maybe some of them would say, okay, I want to go out in the front line and do that. I don't believe in that, but I'm willing to defend my homeland. And you see, that's what you've got to remember. During the Second World War, after the fall of Dunkirk, and when the German army were along that French coastline, just on the doorstep, just across the channel, British people absolutely believed they were going to get invaded by the German army and overrun, just like France and Holland and all the other countries that had fallen in Europe. We believed that was going to happen. So when conscription happened then, maybe what I'm thinking, people were saying to themselves, well, okay, we are in imminent threat of being invaded. My family, my home, my town, my village, my house, whatever, it's going to be invaded by Germans. I'm willing to go and fight to stop that happening. But if we're talking about now or in the future, and there's a conflict out in Europe with Russia, the young people might not want to go out there and do that. But if there's imminent threat of invasion, they may be persuaded to form some sort of home defence. So that's what we're talking about. I hope I haven't waffled too much. It's a massive subject. And I just wanted to see, just put it out there. I'd love to hear comments from people, say, between the ages of 40 that are watching this. What's your thoughts? How would you feel if you were conscripted in the future to go and fight out in Europe, say, against Russia? How would you? Would you go? Would you object? And if you did object, what would you do? What do you think would happen to you? I'd be interested to hear the comments. And obviously I'd like to hear from my usual veterans that are out there and my other supporters, see what you think about conscription, how it would work and what we'd get up to. So that's a little chat on conscription, big old subject, very popular in the media at the moment. So let's make it popular on this channel. Let's have a chat about it. So troops, as always, thanks for supporting me. Until the next time, let's tap.